Hi, and welcome to the show this week, and thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Johnetta Paye, attorney at law, and this is my co-host,
Yohan Minsili, CPA. Welcome back.
And we hope that you learned a lot about how to start a business in 2020, and we're hoping that you're tracking well on your 2020 New Year's goals. But this episode, so we take stuff from the internet, the news, what everybody is talking about, and we bring it to you from a legal end,
as well as a accounting, finance, and business perspective. And essentially, we take current events, recent events, news, hot topics, and make the translation. What does that mean for your business? What does that mean for you as an individual, as a business, as an entrepreneur? And how can you relate to it? And how can you use that information to your best advantage? One topic that...
Yes, I saw this all over Instagram last year. So when we were picking topics for this show, I was like, Yohan, we have to do a show on this particular topic. So there was an IG post, and it's also on my IG too. So if you're not subscribed to my IG, it's at JPayeESQ. So that's at JPayeESQ. And tell the good people where they can find you on Instagram.
On my IG, at Minsili CPA LLC. At Minsili CPA LLC. Easy to find.
Okay, so this post that was trending last year was about kid entrepreneurs, and it was saying, and it's all good to build generational wealth, and maybe Yohan will give you some tips on this segment on how you can go about creating generational wealth. But in this particular post, it was recommending that parents start an LLC for their kids and then pass it to them or gift it to them when they turn 18. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Can you really start a business for your child? So let's break that down. Let's unpack it. And that's what we're going to do in this episode from a legal and financial perspective. So let's get into it. So would you recommend that parents start a business for their 2-year-old?
For the 2-year-old, absolutely. It might be a bit of a stretch as a 2-year-old. However, with today's technology, I want to say anybody can be an entrepreneur. Anybody can own and run a business.
Well, you heard about that little kid on YouTube. What's his name? Ryan, I think. Ryan's Toys, the kid who reviews toys. He's like not even 5, and he's making millions.
Yes, in 2019, he made 26 million. He's 6-year-old. Yes, 26 million. That's really impressive. So the question is, one, how did his surrounding and network identify his talent? 2, how did they organize themselves to make sure that he can
protect his $26 million?
And keep on creating that wealth? Essentially, what's his general process? What does he learn from it? What would be the advantage and disadvantage as a kid or as the parent of a kidpreneur, like they call them, to create and run a business? Yeah.
So would you recommend for Ryan, who was reviewing toys, and I'm sure his family didn't think that he would be making like $26 million just reviewing toys on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So for his family, I'm sure they probably have established themselves as a formal business. But when he first got into it, mm-hmm. Do you think from a tax standpoint, like what are some of the tax advantages of creating a LLC or a corporation for your child who has a talent that maybe could be turned into a business, mm-hmm. or has entrepreneurial tendencies?
So you gave away a very good tip, which is to form an LLC in order to create and run a business. So as the parent of a kid who want to create a business, you are responsible to make sure that that business is protected. You are responsible to make sure that any action that your kid will take as a business owner or as the business operator is not going to create any liability for your family finances. So the LLC, limited liability company, is the optimum formation that you want to select. And the advantage is really that from a liability perspective, the asset of the company that you create are separate from the assets of the individual. In this case, the individual being the kid, but in reality, the individual will be the whole family because your kid is still a minor, so you're still responsible for his finance. So the overall goal here is to really make sure that from a liability perspective, God forbid the wrong action is taken, there's a lawsuit, there's an accident, only the assets of the company that you create will be exposed, but the family asset will be protected.
But that brings me to a question. So this kid is making like 26 million, and we know other young entrepreneurs or young celebrities that are making like millions at a young age. But because they're minors, technically their parents have to control their money for them.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I mean, and we've heard situations. I'm not saying everybody's parent is shady,
Yeah.
but there are some shady parents that use that money to finance whatever they want to finance.
Yes.
So as a child, how do they protect themselves in a situation where they've got parents managing large quantities of money for them? And I can't really say how I want this money to be made, because there's a JoJo, I'm blanking on her name. She's a YouTube star too, and my nieces and nephews talk about her all the time too. And she's also making millions, and she's like not even like 16. So JoJo Siwa. So how do like these young digital entrepreneurs like protect their money from their parents?
Protect money from the parents. Unfortunately, there's not really such a thing. It's really a family decision. It's really a family choice. From a legal perspective, or even from a government oversight perspective, as long as you're a minor, your parents are responsible for you. Okay. It's really a matter of the family deciding we want to have a fiduciary role on our kid assets and be involved in managing some or all of those assets, right? And the idea being, when the kid become an adult, then they can decide we are taking over the management of the company. But until that happens,
Well, what if mommy stole my $23 million?
Yeah, if mommy steals your $26 million, unfortunately, you have all the right to go to court. You have all the right to take legal action. And also, the court may decide to make you an adult earlier. And we have many instances where that happened before, when a kid that was 15, 16, 17
have asked to be emancipated.
have
Yes.
been emancipated. Exactly, that's the term I was looking for. And those are, I want to say, extreme cases. But if it's not a $26 million that we're talking about a simple lemonade stand on the street. What can a parent do to make sure that their little kid lemonade stand is successful? Again, make sure that you're meeting the city ordinance, right? Do your homework. Do your research about what is in need for my kid to open and run a business.
And I would agree, especially from home-based businesses, because there are zoning and local city ordinances that you should be mindful of if your child is doing a home-based business. So yes, that is a good tip from the finance guy from a legal perspective.
But would you encourage your kid to create their own business, or any kid for that matter? It doesn't have to be yours. It can be your nieces
I
and
encourage
nephew.
my nieces and nephews to create a business, because I'm not trying to finance everybody for the rest of their lives.
They can pay for their own education.
Yes. So yes, I do encourage them to start their own business.
And I think you should. I definitely think you should. Some of the things that they learn as kidpreneurs, they learn customer service.
I agree.
They learn how to handle rejection. They learn how to put
Be
their
creative.
best, be creative, put their best foot forward in everything they do. They understand the value of the effort. They understand the value of managing money and creating wealth. And to a certain extent, they understand items that most adults do not come across until they quote-unquote an adult, such as paying your taxes, managing your finance, managing your time. By the time they are teenager, they understand it and they are somewhat proficient at it.
And there's good skills to learn, because those things they don't teach you in grade school, they don't teach you in college, and if you go to graduate school, they definitely don't teach you that. And I just think if you learn how to be creative, you learn how to be resourceful, you learn how to manage your time and some of the other skills that you mentioned, it just makes you an all-around, well-rounded person. And these are things like nobody can take from you. So if you never get an education, or if you do get an education, you know that you have the ability to create money and to create wealth from yourself, no matter like what the circumstances. So I think the earlier kids can learn that, that's a good foundation actually to start creating generational wealth.
And another item that a lot of people don't realize is a kid who operates their own business is almost treated as an adult. So, for instance, as long as they make over $400 for that year, they are required to file a tax return.
But aren't their parents required to file the taxes for them?
The parents are required to file the tax for them, yes, but the kid as
And when
an
I say
entity.
them, does that mean like, so let's just say my little kid my 5-year-old wanted to start a business.
Yes.
And he's like, well, I mean, my pretend 5-year-old, because I don't have one yet. But let's just say my pretend 5-year-old wanted to start a business, and he's like, Mom, okay, I'm starting this business, and he makes, he learned from his mommy, so he knows how to start a business, and he made like, let's just say $1,000 or whatever, which is good for a 5-year-old.
That's very good.
So now does mommy Johnetta have to claim that $1,000 on mommy Jonetta's taxes?
So mommy does not have to claim the kid income on your taxes. No. As an operating and full functioning business, you will file the tax return for the kid, right? That just means you will take the step to find a CPA or go online and prepare the return yourself, but it will be under the name of the kid. As long as the income is fairly low, they're most likely not going to owe any tax except for maybe self-employment tax, right? Because I think okay, we're going to have to cut that one, right? Okay.
Keep going.
As long as they are under $12,000 in income for this year, they're not going to be owing any taxes. They will probably going to owe some self-employment tax, but again, the kid will be filing his tax return, and you do not have to include them in your tax return as a dependent.
And they can do it. So let's just say the kid is a solopreneur or a sole proprietor. I don't know why, kid entrepreneur, it's all just blending in. But let's just say my child is a sole proprietor. So then would he be filing the taxes under his social security number if he's not an established like corporation or LLC with an EIN number?
If it's not established as a LLC, he will be filing a tax return because of the level of income that he has for that year. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, as long as it's over $400, then yes, he will be filing his own tax return. If it's anything below that, then you can add him as a dependent. You definitely can do that. Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting because I mean, it's becoming, with the way the world is going now, a lot of young children are starting businesses and profitable businesses at that. And so I think it's definitely something for parents to be mindful of so that they can support their children in their entrepreneurial endeavors.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of information out there. And that's why parents should reach out to professionals such as yourself or myself and make sure that they understand the implication of the kid starting a business. Again, there's a lot of value from a life perspective that they can learn. But also they want to make sure that things are done properly, and from an operational standpoint, the kid is not going to get in trouble with the law or with the tax authorities. Again, making sure that you're meeting other local ordinance as far as opening a business, regardless of the nature of the business.
Yeah, and I will definitely say that when you are starting a business for your child from a legal standpoint, in a lot of states, children can't start a business themselves. They can't organize a business themselves. And so the parent would really have to file the articles of incorporation if it's a corporation, or the articles of organization if it's an LLC, with the Secretary of State, listing the parents as the organizer of the business, because the child wouldn't be able to do that for themselves. So that's just something to be mindful of if you have a child that has entrepreneurial tendencies or is making a lot of money, off of social media.
Yeah, in summary, I want to say make sure you understand what are the tax and financial implications for your family. The kid is still your responsibility. That means that you are potentially liable for many of the actions.
Yeah, because kids can't really, well, they can sign contracts, but they can also disaffirm them when they become
Yeah.
18. So a lot of like vendors and other individuals might not want to engage on a contract perspective with the child. And so that's why a lot of times they require the adult to sign on the contract too, so that way they can hold somebody liable to the terms of the agreement. So that's another thing to think about, is as your child's out here pursuing their business dreams and goals, you as the parent could be contractually liable if they were to enter into a contractual agreement with a third party.
Yeah, and as an operating company, make sure you have your accounting and transaction record in place, and you're keeping up with them, and making sure that depending on the formation that you selected, you do file your taxes, then you do pay your taxes. Again, from a liability standpoint and even from a tax standpoint, because the kid is a minor, you have the potential of being responsible for it in case you did not file those taxes properly. So those are many of the items that parents should take in consideration when they decide to allow the kid to create and run a business. But definitely encourage them. I want to say is I would not look at it as the reason not to do it, right? There's so much value that children can learn from running their own business.
And I would also say just financial and cash management, because a lot of these kids are making sometimes more money than their parents.
Yes.
And so I think from that standpoint, and just if the idea is to create generational wealth, learning how to manage cash and manage your finances just benefits the family as a whole. So if you know, and we have one right here,
absolutely,
that you can get financial management strategies from, because I just think it's important for everybody to learn how to manage cash, especially if you have a kid entrepreneur that's bringing in
and that's successful.
Revenue.
Make sure that they are keeping track of those financial transactions, making sure that they give themselves a salary, making sure that they give you a salary as the manager, as the overseer of many of the transaction, and making sure that anybody that's involved know exactly what are the requirements, what is the business process from start to finish. Collecting cash, contacting clients, following up on clients, answering to complaints. A kid is still a kid. You really want to create that overall entourage that's making sure that the kids' core abilities are nurtured, but then you look at the rest of the environment that regard adult items such as finance, tax, governance. Those are the items that you want to take off.
I totally agree. So the answer in short to this social media craze, should you start an LLC for your child and gift it to them at 18? Where you start and what age, it just depends on the circumstance. But in general, if your kid is entrepreneurial or out here making money, just from a legal standpoint, you might want to, just to limit your liability, look into forming some sort of company, whether that be an S Corp, a C Corp, or an LLC for your child, just to protect them in their business endeavors. And then from a contract standpoint, you definitely want to make sure that you understand the contracts that are being signed by your child and you, because both of you guys have liability under those contract terms. But there's nothing wrong with supporting your child in this 2020 economy where everybody's like looking to start a business, whether you're 18 to 1.
Yep, absolutely. And to add to what you just said, from a tax perspective, because it's an LLC, for tax purposes, depending on the level of income, again, your kid may have to file a tax return, and you probably will be filing a tax return, adding some of the income that your kid had, right? Remember, you're the manager, so you're receiving income from him. So you want to add that income to your personal tax return. And depending, again, on the size of the operation, even the LLC itself might actually be a partnership and may have to file a business return. So talking to your professional is absolutely crucial, is absolutely critical. having a deep understanding of what's required for that business to be successful. Not because a kid is in charge, but because it's a business. So yeah, those are some of the many items that we want to think of. And like you mentioned, start of a new decade, and everybody is really looking to change and to bring something new to the table. You want to make sure that the financial, legal, and tax items are taken care of.
And if you have additional questions on your child being a young entrepreneur and how to support them in that, you can always reach out to us offline. You can go to Yohan and contact him, schedule a consultation with him at his website. And how can they reach you?
Oh yeah, please reach out to me. My website is www.minsilitax.com, and you can just go ahead and schedule an appointment. And I'm very, very good at returning phone calls, answering emails. You can also email me directly. My email address is yohan.minsili@minsilicpa.com, and I will definitely answer you back. And if you have a kid, if you have a budding entrepreneurs in your environment, even yourself, or have any financial planning, tax, business process concern or question that you have, please feel free to reach out.
And if you have legal questions about your child being an entrepreneur and structuring their business, or contract questions, you can reach out to me and you can schedule a consultation by going to my website, jpaye.com, and all that information will be in the caption or the link below, so definitely check out for that. And we hope that you enjoyed this episode and got some value and just understanding on how to support your child entrepreneur. And be sure to tune in next week for the next episode, because we have a definitely exciting topic for you next week.
Yep.
And be sure that you subscribe to our social media channel so you can get notices when we upload a new weekly video. And we will see you next week.
See you next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye.